Welcome, YouTube friends and family, to today's edition of the Wellness Homesteader. So, what are we going to be doing today? You see my mixer all ready to go in the background. Hanky Panky Frankie's getting ready for his nap, so hopefully I can get through this without fighting him. So I hope you all are experiencing a warm-up and that you didn't have a terrible ice storm. It's actually Wednesday here today. You'll be seeing this the following Tuesday. And as I mentioned in an earlier video that I think you've seen, this week I'm filming small segments of how I used a chicken, 4 different ways, count on my fingers, to feed myself for 5 days at least worth of meals. It'll be a little bit more than that for me, using 1 roasted chicken. So before we get started, I wanted to share this with you. You can't see it super well. This beauty, let me hold it up this way, there you go, was a gift in my P.O. box from Miss Jane. Jane, I don't want to get it dirty, but I was like, well, this color matches my shirt, so I'm going to wear it today. So what are we going to be doing? Well, I'm out of tortillas, y'all. And as part of the pantry challenge, I wanted to challenge myself to learn to do some things that I normally am like, yeah, I'm not going to do that, and just go to the store. I've had a lot of indoor time this week, and I just want to, hopefully this will encourage you, because I got really discouraged. And why did I get discouraged? Well, I watched a lot of big homesteader channels during this time, because it always gives me ideas for skills that I don't have that I'd like to learn, or just ideas, you know, for people participating in the 3 Rivers Challenge. And I was like, well, I'm not a homesteader at all. And I think that term gets used a lot of different ways. I still have the hiccups, guys, but at least I'm not nauseous. But here's what I decided, y'all. Maybe I'm not a homesteader in 2024 terms, but what I can say is I do, I don't like to use the word pride, strive to learn self-sufficiency skills. And as a part of my ministry to others, I like to share those. And I am growing food, and I do raise chickens, so if that doesn't make me a homesteader, I'm actually okay with that, because I think I am. It's just I'm not homesteading on the same level as a lot of the big homesteaders do. And a lot of them are couples, and I'm not using that as an excuse for why I don't do more, have more. I have an acre of land, guys, and I am within the village limits. So I'm not even allowed to have a rooster because of our noise ordinance, which is crazy, because I guarantee you the trucks that pass my house on the state route, you've all heard them if you've been around a while, are way louder than a rooster. But I also don't have the room for goats or pigs or cows or anything like that. So I'm doing what I can with the resources I have. And to me, that is part of being a homesteader. All right, enough of that. So what are we going to make today? Tortillas. I already told you that. Oh no, please don't start out that way. Y'all, I accidentally put this in the bookshelf with the cover folded, but this is a great book. It's the Essential Homegrown Flour book. It's by Sue Becker, the Bread Beckers on YouTube. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't watch their channel like I should. Occasionally I will. But it has so much good information, basic information, plus the recipes. So one of the things that's been a challenge for me is how much, if I'm going to grind my own grains, what does that look like? And do I use hard red or soft white? And I know hard red is for more structured things like bread, although sometimes you can put soft white in with it. And soft white is more of a pastry type dough, if you will. Also, another question that came to me is, how do I know how many cups of grain to get the desired amount of flour? So because this is not processed like flour you would buy in the store, it does not have any shelf life you need to put it, or any, you know, room temperature shelf life, you really, it will go rancid because you're not getting out the wheat germ. So I don't want to end up with a whole bunch of extra flour. So I was looking at the book this morning to see if I could find a tortilla recipe, and what I discovered was that I still have the hiccups. No, I'm sorry guys. What I discovered was pretty much across the board, 2 cups of grain will equal 3 cups of milled flour. So that was super helpful to me. I always like to have a little extra because depending on the recipe you're using, the humidity in your house, I'm sure you can hear my heat cut on, but guys, it is 44 degrees. I went out like this morning to take care of the chickens and to take my trash out, and I'm like, it's a heat wave. I think I'll put on some shorts. So actually I'm not wearing 14 layers today for a change. I am wearing another one of my Love and Faith shirts. So hold on a minute. I'm gonna grab something before we get started. You know, y'all know I can talk because I finally managed to get a coupon code for y'all. So hang tight. Go get your phones or your picture taking devices, and I can give you a coupon. I'm going to give you $15 off, or they're going to. I'm not going to give you out of my pocket. $15 off there. It has to be your first order of 25, and then I get $15 in points for each successful referral. So let me hold this up. Wait, let me fold it. Psych. Okay. I will see if I can somehow put it in the description box. I don't think I can, because I don't think I can, but we'll see. Y'all know I'm not real great at all of the spiffy things, you know, that you can do on the internet. Okay, so back to the recipe. So what this calls for, this is a basic whole grain flour tortilla. A cup of warm water, a 1/4 cup of oil, and I can't put the recipe in the description box, y'all, because this is a copyrighted current book. 1 teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of rice bran extract or lecithin, which is optional, and 2 to 3 cups of freshly milled flour. And it says see tips at left. So it says with a high gluten grain such as hard wheat, use about 2 cups. If using a higher moisture grain such as spelt or soft wheat, up to 3 cups may be needed. So we're gonna plan for 3 cups. And then 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. So the first thing we need to do is we need to grind our grain. So over here, y'all, I have my Nutrimil and my tea. This girl's always gotta have her tea. And one thing to know about any mill, and this is what I'm learning as I'm grinding more grains, is you always turn the mill on before adding your grain, number 1. And number 2, you have to play with, this is the coarseness adjuster. You have to kind of play with it, and it makes a noise. Now, y'all, this is pretty loud, but I'm going to try to show you all what that sound change sounds like when, to me, it's the perfect grind. So since it's said, you know, I apologize because I know this is going to be loud. You think clinking silverware is bad, folks? No, I do understand people's issue with it. So over here, I have my 5-gallon sealed bucket of soft white. Let me show you what that looks like. So it's just little kernels. Ooh, one for the floor. So before I turn this on, let me flip you back around. Okay, I'm gonna turn it on. Not too loud, but listen to this. Okay, y'all, I'm not sure if you could hear it. Did you hear kind of the clinky, rattly sound? That tells me that the grind is approaching fine enough. And I'm pretty happy with this, honestly. So that is about 1.5 cups of flour. So let me grind a bit more. Whatever I don't use, I will refrigerate. You know, you can use it for another dish you're making, whatever. It'll stay fresh in the fridge. So let me hiccup another time or two. Yo, I sound like a drunk. I'm so over it. But, you know, hopefully that will subside. At least the nausea has subsided. I can deal with hiccups. Okay, guys, let me get this ground out. The directions say in a large mixing bowl, combine 1 cup of warm water, 1/4 cup of oil. I'm going to use my usual Azure Standard Organic avocado oil. And you'll notice I have on my mixing beater, not my dough hook at this point. And I'll explain that in just a minute. Forgot my spatula. All right. Then it says to add the salt, which is a teaspoon. I just grabbed the red mint. I actually filled it up yesterday. I'm having to fill up some things in my pantry, which is exciting. It means we're getting through things. Oh, y'all, I forget about not doing that. I apologize. And the last thing is the rice bran extract or lecithin. Now, I use sunflower lecithin instead of soy lecithin, which you'll see as an ingredient on many things. One thing I've observed about this is it has a tendency to clump a little bit. So I'm going to just floof it with the fork. It does have an oxygen or a desiccant packet in here. Let's just get our tablespoon. Now to this, we're going to add 1 cup, if I can pick this up, of flour. And again, I'm using soft white. I ended up grinding almost 3 cups. I wanted to be sure I had plenty. So I should be smoothing this, not scooping this. So let me scoot you back a little bit. So in an effort not to pack your flour and to be a little more accurate, I like to spoon my flour into a cup or scoop it into a cup rather than to use the cup as a scoop because it does compact the flour. So there's our cup of flour. And the last ingredient is our baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon. And y'all, I realized I didn't show you the aluminum-free baking powder I've been buying. And that's from Azure. That's my next batch. So let me grab the 1/2 teaspoon. Oops. All right. Let's give this a mix and I'll bring you back. Now that the very liquid dough has mixed, I'm going to switch over to the dough hook. I wanted to be sure that lecithin was really absorbed well. Now it says, while the mixer is running, add flour 1/2 cup at a time until a soft dough forms. So, and y'all, if you're a KitchenAid user, remember, do not turn the mixer above a 2 with the dough hook on. So that's 1.5 cups. I'm sure it'll take at least 2. So let's get our next half cup going. And you can do this by hand, y'all. You do not have to use a mixer. I do because I hate to complain all the time. I'm sure you've all noticed like that my thumb goes out. I need to have a joint replacement. I'm not ready to do that. But my hands get really sore and I do a lot of things in the course of a day. So I try to use things that help save my hands. Okay, let's scrape this down a little bit. So I love my new KitchenAid. I still love my bigger one for big batches of dough. It will still get used. But I also find that it feels like it's less work to make something using the mixer now that it sits out on the counter. And I don't have a lot of counter space, but I have what I have and I'm grateful for it. I will tell you all some really exciting news while this is mixing. I finally got my 3-month, I'm off of Trulicity blood work back yesterday and had a little virtual appointment with my diabetes doctor. And if y'all don't know, there's a blood test called a hemoglobin A1C, and that will tell you on a look back of 3 months just how your blood sugars have been going. And it's measured, guys, I'm gonna add another half cup of flour. This is still really wet. So 6.5 and above is full-blown diabetes. 6 to 6.4, and this is just a lingo thing, can be considered early diabetes or pre-diabetes. Mine was 6.4 when I started this journey. Anything below 6 is considered normal. So I went from 6.4 to 5.6. Woohoo! The Lord is good. So now I just need to keep up the no sugar eating and, you know, focus on continuing to lose weight. Have I lost any more, you ask? Why no, I have not. Y'all, this is still really soft. So they weren't kidding about the 3 cups of flour. So I was overjoyed, and all of my blood work came back completely normal. And they only had to stick me twice, which is a small miracle because for whatever reason, they always have trouble. I'm always glad when it's winter when you get blood work because you can wear long sleeves and you don't look like an IV drug user. All right, let me let this come together. Then I'll show you what the soft dough looks like and we will read the next instructions because there's a few. It's not really complicated. I mean, I've never made these before, y'all, so you're on the maiden voyage with me. Stay tuned. So I hope this is gonna focus. There we go. You can see that this is forming into a very soft dough. And I'm at 3 1/4 cups of water at this point. So let's turn it off and let's just check it. Okay, it's still super sticky, still sticking to my hands. So I'm gonna add just a touch more flour. And y'all, I think that's the hardest part sometimes of knowing when your bread is right, and that is learning what it should feel like. Sorry about the blur. All right, let me add a little bit more, and then I'll bring you back for next instruction. So it looks to me like 3 1/2 cups is gonna be just perfect. We have that soft dough that's coming together in a ball. Why did I need to add an extra half cup of flour? To support my hiccups. Now, I can see what the humidity inside the house is. It's 100% outside because it's raining. So it's gone up 6% overnight. Plus it can depend on the moisture content of your grain. So you need to knead the dough until smooth and elastic, about 5 minutes. Then we're going to cover and let it rise for 10 minutes to relax the dough. So I'm going to set the timer, kind of clear up this mess, and I'll bring you back when that step is done. All right, 10 minutes has elapsed. So now the instructions say, whew, sorry, you almost fell on your head. I'm going to scrape the dough out of the bowl, and it says to divide it into 8 equal portions. So I don't think I said this, and I'm just going to knead it just a little bit, just to kind of bring it together. But this is a beautiful dough. It's soft, but quite elastic. And if you've ever watched people try to roll out tortillas where they're really struggling because it keeps springing back, all of these rest cycles are part of what helps that gluten to be developed enough that it relaxes and you can actually roll them out or press them, whichever way you're going to do it. So what I'm trying to do is make a rectangle that's easy, you know, same thickness. I'm sorry, y'all. So cut that in half, and that in half, and that in half, and this in half. I can count to 8. Now what you want to do is you want to roll each of these into a nice smooth ball. Something like this. Put them on a tray of some sort because, yes, we're going to have to let it rest again. And if you've all noticed, why do you film when it's dark? Well, I film when it's dark because I have the most energy in the mornings. And I actually woke up at 2 this morning. And yes, I go to bed very early, but I find that if I do my food prep early in the day, it's a lot less tempting to just, you know, eat peanut butter and crackers or cheese and crackers, or want to order a pizza or skip a meal, which I could stand to skip a meal, don't get me wrong, but, you know, not strictly healthy. So I find that I have better nutrition if I go ahead and plan in the morning. So even though I do some weekly meal planning, I am not faithful about it. Y'all know that. I've shared that before. Come on, get round. And sometimes daily meal planning based on a rough weekly plan works for me. So that's kind of my meal planning. I'm missing my tortillas for sure. And I've seen a lot of recipes in that Bread Becker's book that I shared with you using spelt. And I don't know what it tastes like, but I'm debating on, do I need to order just a small amount of spelt grain just to give it a try? It might be my new favorite thing. I don't need grain right now, but okay. So I'm just kind of folding it into, like pinching it into a ball like this, and then put the ball on the counter and roll it under your hand. You can do it with either hand. Till it's pretty smooth. This one's not as smooth. I don't know why. Okay. Okay, guys, there we have our 8 tortillas. We're going to cover it. I'm going to set the timer for 10 more minutes while I wash up these next dishes. And then it will be time to start cooking, pressing and cooking our tortillas. While we're waiting on our dough to rest and it says rise, let me talk a little bit about the tortilla press. So this is a new purchase for me, was not expensive. I will link it below, and it's made by Ark, Texas since 1997. They just started selling and shipping through Amazon. I think I lost a leg off of my ring light. Really high quality. They even sent a couple extra pieces here. So what you do is you open up the press, you put parchment paper. I should have let that dry a little better. I washed it. So that it doesn't stick. You close the lid and you press. So I'm really hoping, is that right? I think I've got this one backwards. Ha ha. So let me see how this works the other direction. I'm really hoping this is effective. It had great reviews on Amazon. Let's see. Well, let me just stick this bolt through. Okay. Helps when you assemble it properly. It did come with directions, but I couldn't tell from the picture which way the handle went, but this makes more sense. Then we're going to go to the stove, and I'm going to cook mine in a cast iron skillet because that's what I have that's large enough, and I think it'll be good. And you want to cook your tortillas until very lightly browned, somewhat dry. And it says to press 2 to 3 at a time, cook them, press 2 to 3 at a time, and cook them. So that's the way we're going to do it. I hope I can do this well in this video. You will get to see if it's a bomb. Well, you might not see it, but I think it'll come out just fine. All right, guys, stay tuned. Here we go. I'm going to put the dough ball in the center of the press, cover it with parchment. I'm going to get it started just so it's like stuck down there good. Lower the lid and press. Wow, that's smooth. Oh my word, look. Yeah, can you see? I'm wondering if maybe it needs just a little more press. Yeah, a little bigger. It still feels kind of thick. Let's maybe give it one more press. Okay. Y'all, I'm going to call that tortilla. If you wanted them larger, you could certainly... yeah. I think you can reuse these sheets several times. You could certainly just divide it into less dough balls. I'm sure that would work as well. It does really help that you start out with round. And then this is applying even pressure. Wow, I'm impressed with this thing. Not hard at all. Short girl problems. Y'all probably don't, oh, what is that on me? Oh, it might be a hunk of dough. Oh no, it's a sticker. Okay. Back up here. All right, we're going to start out with just these two. And that way I can reuse the parchment. So it did come with a pack of parchment. Let's turn around, don't get dizzy. Y'all might be leaning a little bit. So I did go ahead and turn this on. Oh, I went ahead and turned on my pan. And I just wiped it with a little bit of the avocado oil. But you want to, it says 375, so you could use a griddle, like if you can control the temperature. I'm going to do the hand method. And once it's pretty hot, then a minute on each side. I think it's going to be super, sorry, just ignore that, y'all. It's going to be super simple. Okay, so we're starting to smoke. Ooh, it's a little stickery. And y'all, if you don't have a tortilla press, you can do this with a rolling pin. What I observed, I'm just going to put it for 1 second. As I watched people roll out, they were getting a lot of like, you know, different shapes, which is fine depending on the application. But if I want to use them for breakfast burritos, or like today I'm going to make a chicken and bean and cheese burrito. Oh, this is starting to get... So you can see where it's dry here, but it's not totally dry. Like that part's still wet. So I'm thinking it will take a total minute. But, y'all, that smells good. Not hard at all. I might have this just a little hot. And you could certainly respray your pan or add a little oil as you need to. I can see a couple little brown dots on this, but it's not super brown. So these are going to have a bit of a different texture, being a whole grain tortilla, but I think they're going to be really tasty. Anything that I've made with home ground flour tastes so good. Yeah, now that's the look you want. It's dry evenly. It's got a few brown spots. I just didn't let the woo. Okay, it's a puffing up. Woo! Okay, one down. So let me keep, I still think this needs a little bit of oil. Just a drizzle. Let me keep pressing and frying, and then we'll come back and do a taste test. You know, I have an assembly line going now, so I put one in while it cooks on the first side. I go ahead and press another, and I'm keeping about 2 ahead. And this would be a great activity for your kids, if you have littles or grandkids. It's so simple. Now that didn't get quite done in the center, but as I'm going along, I'm starting to learn a little bit more about each one of them. And you'll see it starts to rise and bubble when it's done in the middle. Got some nice color on that. So, I mean, it's kind of like frying pancakes. It's very simple and less messy too. All right, I'll bring you back at the end. Yeah, I am totally amazed at how simple making the tortillas was. I could do things kind of in between. I, of course, tore the last one, taking it out of the pan. So let's give it a little taste. Yo, that's way better than Walmart brand tortillas. You can really taste the grain. Now, I did not sift the germ out of the soft white wheat, so it's going to be a little bit denser, but wowza, those are terrific. So what am I going to do with these? Well, for dinner today, I have, yeah, I'm kind of embarrassed to show you this, but you know what? I like it, even though I think it was an epic fail. So I made Boston baked beans, and I pressure canned them back in June. They came out more like refried beans, and they're really bland, so they need salt. But they make a great refried bean substitute. My last jar of salsa, y'all, from this year, well, last year, 2023. Some chicken, little sour cream that I happen to have left over. And I'm not going to feel deprived at all during this pantry challenge. Excuse me. Y'all, when I eat, I get the hiccups too. So drop me a comment below. Have you ever made your own flour tortillas? Now, these are not corn tortillas. According to Amazon, this can be used for corn tortillas too. And since I have whole grain corn I could grind, I might have to try some corn tortillas. But I like the flour tortillas as well. One thing I would say is I'm accustomed to the 10-inch. These are more like 6. They're a little bit smaller. So I can do my egg and breakfast meat kind of more open face, or maybe like a soft taco. So the size isn't a huge problem. You could make each of them bigger. This will do up to a 10-inch. So I think doing it again, instead of dividing it into 8, I might try 6. And if that's still not big enough, you could do 4. My skillet would certainly accommodate it. I want to thank you all for visiting with me today. If you do me a big favor, go ahead and smash that like button. Don't forget to leave that comment if you have any suggestions on best way to make flour tortillas. All right, guys, I will see you very soon. But until then, be healthy, be well, be blessed, and take care.